We've provided you with some information, or actually, Amber will later provide you with some information about the ways that we implement our mission and address some of the strategies that we employ to implement it. Our board members are Ms. Connie Orr, who is actually your commission representative, Robin Turner, Billy Brown, Dale Wiggins, Debbie Beasley, Rick Davis, Valerie Frapp. Our ex officio members are your finance officer, who is also by statute our finance officer, Stacy Carpenter. Also, Josh Carpenter is the director of the Mountain West Partnership, represents or actually Graham County's economic development interest, ex officio member of our board as well. Our staff is comprised of a director, an assistant director, and a very, very important and critical support person. I'm the director, and in that role, I'm responsible for the overall operation of our organization, ensuring that we're fulfilling our mission by employing the strategies that our board has authorized and approved, and supervising and managing our staff. Amber Benton, as the assistant director, is our principal point person. She's the person that's actually responsible for getting things done, and getting all the things done. She's a very creative person whose skill set also includes a keen mind with the ability to think strategically. So she's not only creative, but very important in getting things done. Jeanette Nichols is the key support person for both Amber and me. And she's also the clerk to the board, as well as the main Visitor Center person. She's the hostess of the Visitor Center. So she not only holds down the fort, but she actually mans the fort. And when I speak of the Welcome Center, that's one thing that we are responsible for doing. And there are actually two models with Welcome Centers. One of them is where a county TDA or municipal TDA actually mans and runs the visitor center. The other model is they run it through another organization, either an independent organization or something like a Chamber of Commerce. Here we run it. We also have entered into a memorandum of understanding with Stocola Valley Center so that we can partially finance and offset what they do, as well as help guide and direct what they do as far as being a visitor center and offering those services to our visitors on that side of the county. The next thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the fact that, as I've explained, there are three members of our staff and the board. The board, of course, is volunteers. So that one of the important things that we have to employ are we have to be able to do a lot of things with few people, and one of the ways we do it is we depend highly on hoping to create and foster cooperation and collaboration and work in partnership with other organizations, like I was referring to Stocola Valley Center. One of the key partners we have are our other county departments, and there is virtually no department that isn't important to helping us achieve our mission. And I just, if you'll allow me a little personal aside, I really not only feel humbled and just honored to be able to work for Graham County and for the people, the commissioners, but also the way this group of managers, when we meet, and the employees, I've never been in a place where people really appreciate their job this much and appreciate what they're doing and for whom they're doing it for the citizens of this county. And I think that's in large part because of the leadership that's provided by the commissioners, really. But we partner with finances, and we partner with office staff, with the manager's office, with EMS, with 911, with volunteer fire and rescue, even with the rec department, the sheriff's office, Graham County Transit, agriculture extension, both parts of tax, the collector and the assessor's offices. So there's no one we don't work with, and everyone has been a wonderful partner and very critical to our being able to achieve anything that we can achieve. One of the other things there are two other things we want to talk about. We want to talk about our promotional efforts, and that's where Amber will come in and give you a little more thorough briefing there. But in addition to that, I wanted to talk about, or just introduce the fact that we wanted to let you know about some of our major projects. And in doing so, the first thing I wanted to address is that probably the biggest major project on our plate right now, or at least the most immediate and probably the most urgent, is our strategic planning session. We're going to hold a strategic planning session in the middle of February, and in that, we are hopefully then going to set some goals for the next 2 to 3 years at the most, which is far different than what we've been operating on since I was hired. When I was hired, I was referred to this, and this is the Graham County Strategic Tourism Destination Plan 2025. In 2014, the late part of 2014, Great commissioned the Magellan Group to work with the folks in the county, organizations in the county, individual citizens, the commissioners and our board, the Graham County Travel and Tourism Board, to work out and work through a process that would envision what this county could become by the year 2025. Well, fortunately, I have utilized this, and with the help of my board and their direction, we were able to hit, I think there were 14 major goals. 15, we were able to hit 14 of them over that time. One of them we just felt like was not achievable, and one of them really we partially hit. But still, in doing so, we fulfilled that plan, so we feel like it's vital that we have a roadmap to the future. But the way things move today versus even in 2014, we don't see trying to plan 10 years ahead of time. We see that maybe we can accomplish a 2 to 3 year period at most, and that we'd reevaluate every year on that. So with that being said, I'll let Amber talk to you about the rest, about the other major, there was one major project, another one you mentioned. Last year, y'all were, I thought had made a great decision, really, to honor one of our citizens, Ronnie Millsap. You created the Ronnie Millsap Day. This year, we had permission to work on your behalf and on behalf of the Graham County Historical Association, and in partnership with them, to do some things to help promote that so that it would be recognized annually. And so that Ronnie Millsap Day project, Amber will mention a little more detail about what we're doing there, or part of what we're doing there, to you as she talks about both all our promotional efforts and some of our major projects. The other thing that I wanted to say before we wound up, or before I turned it over to her, was that we hope that, as I mentioned, we'd like to meet with you more often. We really think that there ought to be a time that we can meet with you and devote this entire work period to talking to you about our budget and being open and allow you to ask us questions about the way those taxes are spent, the way our board's directed it, the way we interpret those things. So if that could be a future time we could spend with you here, we'd certainly appreciate it. But again, thank you, and I'm going to let Amber speak to you about some of these other things, and then if we have time, Joe White, excuse me, we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Good evening. I'm going to start by passing around something that we overlooked, which is really important. It's our welcome packet and our occupancy tax registration packet, which is one of the major functions that we do, and with in partnership with Stacy and Ashton and their collaboration and reviewing this packet. Yes. For us, we feel like we've updated it and revised it. It's a lot more user-friendly. We now provide access to forms and registration forms digitally online. The entire process can't be completed online yet, but that is something that we hope to achieve in 2026 with the partnership of the county. But this is a much cleaner information packet that we can deliver digitally, and has improved our process and relationships with our accommodation owners and that registration process, I do believe. And so thank you, Stacy, for reviewing that with us. And this also was a part of a meeting, strategy meetings, I guess, and coordinating meetings that we have started with Brady and Stacy, and hopefully we'll be bringing in the tax office on that. So I'm going to go back to kind of the marketing and the promotional side of things for just briefly. One of the things that we kind of, when I came on board and how we were trying to understand how we're marketing and promoting Grand County. And we had a branding package. We had a series of ads that were created by our marketing agency. We had a motto, your natural destination, our visitors guides, and just taking a look at all those things. And trying to pull that together and to see what kind of story are we telling? Because marketing promotion is really nothing more than storytelling. And over the course of a year, I really began to kind of piece together some of those strategies, some of those assets into a more cohesive vision. I mean, I had an opportunity last year to meet with and to do a roadshow pitch with Visit North Carolina, which is the official tourism arm of the state. It's underneath the Economic and Development Partnership of North Carolina, which is the NCDNCR. Is that right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I still have a lot of acronyms.
Department of Commerce.
Department of Commerce, thank you, to learn. But in that pitch, what I really tried to do was to paint a picture of Graham County and put everything in context. And some of this is not going to be new to you guys because you live here and you know all about us. But for most people, seeing Graham County in this way is new. And so, we can look at ourselves, and one of the smaller counties in the state. We're in the smallest third in terms of size. We know that these numbers are, I wish I could pinpoint them a little more, but 2/3 of the county roughly is within the USFS. But if you look at the land, available land, because of other organizations, quasi-governmental or other reserved lands, that number gets up close to 70+%, close to 75% of land that is reserved outside the tax base. We are the third smallest county in terms of population size. In terms of tourism, if you look around us and take on a job to market and promote this county, and you're surrounded by places with ski resorts and trains and big, huge rafting things, it's quite a challenge to learn how to do that. So thinking about that branding message, we have your natural destination. And I believe some of this language maybe came from Dale Wiggins originally. It's that Graham County is a frontier, one of the last unspoiled places in the Southeast. And that's kind of the branding message that we had when I came aboard. And so over the past year and a half, we've been able to pitch it this way. And I literally painted pictures, and I'll pass this around. This is one slide from a slide deck from that pitch that I did with Visit North Carolina. And I illustrated all the slide decks, and I'll pass this around. So it's a watercolor image, and I love taking stuff off maps. But I love that you can see the different green colors, what's Forest Service land, what's not on this map. But we're small, we're remote. In some ways there's not a lot here. But if you look at this map, we are the Great Smoky Mountains National Park's largest neighbor. So across Fontana Lake, you enter in, you can walk across Fontana Dam, and you're in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Fontana Dam is the largest dam east of the Rockies. Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest is one of the largest old-growth forests on the East Coast, and the largest stand of tulip poplars on the East Coast, maybe rivaling in the nation. Cherryhala Skyway is a national scenic byway. It rivals the Blue Ridge Parkway in its experience because you're driving right at the ridge line. Lake Santitla, voted the most beautiful lake in the country. It often ranks among the top 10 top lakes, most beautiful lakes in the country. Another big one is a future one. We will soon have the first land bridge in the state at the top of Steeple Mountain, the Steeple Gap. We have the Chioa River, and during those releases, those Class 5 rapids are often compared and classed with the large rivers out west in terms of the experience for those high adventure rafters and kayakers. It's kind of hard to classify this one, but our treasured history and culture of the snowbird Cherokee, and we know how precious and important that is. This year, the Fading Voices event is their 40th anniversary of that event. On top of Hooper Bald, we have a rare stand of native azaleas, and through the work that this county has put into preserving and promoting that, the Azalea Society of America gave Robbinsville the ranking of an Azalea City of America. It's one of 2 in the state. We have the Sequoia Valley Cultural Arts Center and the history of music. Some of the earliest country musicians and bluegrass musicians came through and played there. It's celebrating its 100th anniversary of the schoolhouse this year. We have what I like to call the Made in Graham County campaign that we'll talk about, or you can ask me about later. But it's recognizing those businesses and artists who are creators in our county. One of the top of the list would be B.J. Welch and his recognition for his clan masks, being in the Smithsonian Magazine, the subject of an Emmy Award-winning video. We have heirloom honey. When I travel and visit any other tourist places in Western North Carolina and all the little shops and places, everywhere I go in that's selling gifts, I'll run into heirloom honey products there. And they're made right here in Graham County. So just in that list, when you start talking to people about us in that way, suddenly it's not so small. And being able to tell that story to Visit North Carolina in particular had a large impact for the county. And I'm going to pass around our visitor's guide, or Daniel will, in which through that slideshow and pitch to Visit North Carolina, In addition to the ad, which we paid for in this magazine, we had 5 mentions, 5 individual listing and mentions in the official visitor's guide for North Carolina. And my message to Visit North Carolina is, we're not drawing people from, like, you're working to bring people into North Carolina. We're not working to take your audience and bring them into Graham County. Graham County draws people into North Carolina. And so they really saw the value in that. And they've been coming and visiting more, putting more of our messages and stories out there. I'm also going to pass around a notebook which has a selection of the advertisements that we have submitted into publication. Especially from 1/6/2006.
Motion to approve the minutes. Workshop and regular, 1/16, 1/6/2026.
Second.
For public comment, section A, we have Mr. Chase Lancaster.
Howdy, thank y'all for letting me come speak today. I'd like to start off with some of the things I may say may upset some of y'all. Some of them y'all may agree with, but frankly, I don't care. I'm here to stand up for something I believe in. First off, I'd like to commend Mr. Lynn Cody. Mr. Lynn, at the last budget meeting, you stood up for what you believed in. You stood up for what you thought was right. And we need more people like you. Just like you, I'm doing the same thing here today. I am standing up for the sheriff's department here. For this past few years, y'all have cut and cut the sheriff's department. It's time to stop. Y'all want to mention about, not wanting overtime, all that stuff. How are you supposed to do that when we got 4 full-time detention officers, 1 transport officer, and we got deputies and detention officers making lower income than any other county around here? We cannot keep officers. Our starting pay rate for the jail is $14 an hour. You really think we can open up a jail and keep officers with $14 an hour when other counties, Swain County, Cherokee County, they're starting their officers off at $18, $19 an hour? Where do you think they're going to go? The only reason we have the officers we do now is because they love supporting this county. And before anybody says anything, oh, they might have left because of the sheriff. No, I've talked to multiple officers that have left this county, and one of them said, I left because of the sheriff. All the other ones said it was because of pay. These men and women have families, they have bills, and they can't afford $14 an hour to start off in the jail. And I mean, even the sheriff's deputy starting payoff is $19.05 for a certified officer. I mean, other counties are paying $22, $23 an hour. We can't compete with that. I mean, we can't even compete with the tribe right now. I mean, the tribe starts off way down. And so I want y'all to look at these numbers, okay? So we're going to take the starting off pay, $15 an hour for the jail. Now, let's just add that in overtime. Let's do, okay, overtime is time and a half. So that's $21 an hour. That's even less than what other counties are making. And that's our overtime. Okay, so 21, you take one officer at $21 an hour for overtime, and he works an extra shift, which is 12 hours. That's $252. But yet, no overtime. That is what you spoke of at the thing. You don't want overtime, we need to cut overtime. We can't cut overtime. And then, but also look at this way. If we increase the jail's pay by $4 an hour, which brought it up to $18 an hour, starting off, just increased it by $4 an hour, we will be able to keep detention officers, we'll be able to keep staff, and be able to reopen the jail. Because right now, we are spending way too much money sending inmates 3 hours away. We have 1 transport officer that's running himself to death. And also to look at $4 times 4, that's $160 per. Okay, so 252 minus 160, that's $92 saving. So Like I said, the surrounding areas, their sheriff's department starts off at $23 an hour. The jail starts off at $18 to $19 at other counties. Right now, people want to see officers on the street. Right now, we're working with 1, 2 officers at night. How's that gonna make somebody like me feel, or other people feel that live up way up on Snowbird, when you got 2 officers tied up in Tacoma and nobody can get there? I'm gonna stand my ground. I mean, somebody's breaking into my house, I call 911, they say, hey, we got 2 officers tied up in Tacoma, we ain't got nobody on duty. I'm gonna protect my house. I'm gonna protect my family. That's gonna be an increase of, people getting shot potentially, because law enforcement's not able to make it there. But if we was able to increase the sheriff's department pay, starting off for patrol deputies, another $3 or $4 an hour, then people want to stay. We have so many people coming into this county to work for the sheriff's department, getting trained and leaving. And frankly, I don't blame them. I mean, it's hard to make a living off $14 an hour. And then, last meeting, Chairman Nagin, you spoke of increasing sales taxes. How do you expect the community to do that when all you want to do is raise taxes? My land taxes have doubled in the past 4 years. You're wanting to increase land taxes.
Sales tax and, property taxes.
Okay, well, anyways, let's just go ahead with the sales tax, okay? Right now, you know, gas is 40 cents cheaper in Murphy and Andrews. You know, groceries are cheaper. Why do you think so many people go to Walmart and Murphy to buy their stock of food? Because they can't afford it. They're saving $80, $90 for with the groceries by going to another county. But
You do realize that the sales tax rate is not any less than Cherokee County, Jackson County, Swain County, any of the above. So they're not going to save on sales tax, they're going to save on groceries. Ingles is a privately owned business, we cannot control their prices, their quality, their value. We'll never be able to do that. So that's irrelevant to the cost of groceries. We're not controlling those.
And I think,
No,
I
but you-
appreciate your concern, but I do think you misunderstand what's the sales tax. And it is a little complicated, but sales tax, the idea behind it is it's distributed between not the locals, but also the tourists. Whereas property taxes are only on locals. So if you think about trying to distribute that cost, it makes sense to me to try to raise the sales taxes that way. Tourists all have also have to pay that, and not just our local people. And so the property taxes is just for the local people, and our elderly, they can't afford any increases in that.
Okay, but you're still talking about increasing taxes, but everybody's pay is staying the same. And that's just gonna make it more burden on people.
How do you propose paying for these pay raises that you're talking about without a tax increase? Because Swain County has a larger tax base than us. Cherokee County has a larger tax base than us. That's how they can afford to pay more money. How do you propose to come up with the additional funds for these raises?
How do you come up with additional funds for the overtime? You get pay raises, just, $3 to $4 an hour, that increases the,
What about the hidden costs associated with that? It's not as simple as $4 is $4. That $4 increases retirement, increases workers' comp rates, increases state unemployment rates, it increases all the back end items that you're not taking into account. So that simple $4 is more like $6, $7.
okay, and that's still less than the other counties.
We have counties that have more money than we have. They have a larger tax base.
Okay, maybe the county would have more money if we start spending money on things that we want and use it for things that we need.
I agree 100%. But there's several departments that have been spending money on budget items and they're
Okay,
sure not.
first off,
I can go back to that as well.
yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about that boat, the boat was grant funded. I mean, I hear people all the time talking about that. Daggone boat, I'm sick and tired of hearing about the boat. The boat was grant funded, it was free. The boat's here to stay, it can't be sold, okay? Like, if that's what you're talking about, then let's move on to another subject, because that boat is irrelevant at this point.
I don't know that the community would agree with that, but you're entitled to.
look at the paper, what we said. And then frankly, also too, to end this up, I have a belief that a couple of y'all, I ain't gonna mention any names, has a personal grievance with the sheriff's department. That needs to stop. You was voted in, sworn to do a job. Your personal differences, whether it's with the sheriff over here or with any of the deputies of the department, should not interfere with your job. You should not be trying to destroy the sheriff's department. I mean, thank you. Sooner or later, we're not gonna have any officers because of the pay. And that's not gonna be on the sheriff, that's not gonna be on the chief deputy, that's gonna be on y'all. I mean, maybe y'all should think about treating the sheriff's department as good as y'all treat the other facilities.
I mean, I'm sorry, Dylan, I didn't hear your last statement. We have to think about, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Y'all should start thinking about treating the sheriff's department as good as y'all treat the other facilities.
I think we're fairly equal upon all of our departments to the best of our ability. We're trying to be fiscally responsible for the taxpayers' dollars. We're trying to save the most money that we possibly can. Because at the end of the day, the more we spend, the more it comes out of the pocket of taxpayers' citizens, of our property owners.
So you're saving by cutting the men and women that is
We're not
sworn to uphold the law and protect this county? Sheriff, just about it, in the past 3 to 4 years, how much have you been there?
I don't have the figures in front of me now, but the information that don't have it now,
I understand.
but it's.
Then just significantly.
Yeah, but I'd like to ask you again one time. Before we purchased the bug,
You got anything about it?
what's just being discussed.
I just mean,
And you said
some
that the public,
departments have
wait,
got a
you
bunch
said
of
some of the public would disagree with the
I
bug.
mean, it's all over social media.
But the thing of it is, did you and the board not sign off on that before we could apply for it?
If we want to be honest, when we're forced into it, we
How
know
is your
we can't
fault?
dictate what to do with what's in your
I
budget.
don't know. The congressman sent paperwork for y'all to sign off before he could submit it to the budget. You wasn't forced to do anything.
According to
Y'all-
according to our
y'all-
attorney, he said that you are able to spend your budget however you so please.
That's correct. But before we was even allowed to apply for the grants, y'all was presented with that grant, and you voted and signed off on it before it even went to the federal government.
Again, because our law advised us that we.
They have, we have received the money yet, before it could even be put into a budget. Y'all had to say it was okay for them to do it.
If I recall correctly, were we not informed at a meeting that FYI is vote is coming in a few days?
Yeah, after you done signed off saying that it was accepted. And if you go back to the meetings, you can find that paperwork where you said it was okay for the congressman to go ahead. But yes, you was told that the vote was coming. And I think Mr. Lynn talked about this beforehand.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me okay? Do you recall the date, the beginning date on any kind of paperwork on the grant?
Jimmy, have you got any of that?
I don't remember the date, but it seems like it was more than 2 or 3 years ago. I may be wrong.
Now, we can go back and review the minutes. Sheriff came before the board, and let y'all know that we will be receiving money from Congress to purchase a boat. If you give me a few minutes, I go back and pull up bids,
No.
which are online. That was, month or two before we received money from Brookfield, which is also mentioned in the minutes where Ms. Parker had introduced to set up a special bank account for those funds. If we give you a few minutes, I'll go live.
No, that's okay. I think when we get down to looking at dates, we'll see that the paperwork that, the board had to sign, if I'm not mistaken, it was more than 2 years ago when it all started. Is that not close, Brad?
The actual start of getting this road into the federal budget was probably more than 2 years ago. Yes. And it took it that length of time for it to actually get road into the budget. And the congressman with that said that the commissioners had to sign off and approve for this to be put into the budget before it was even written.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Now, I got one more question for y'all. Everybody knows I'm under the same position. No, Joe, I talk to the public. I talk to a lot of departments. Out of all the money that y'all have cut from the sheriff's department and cut from other places, where's all that money going to? I mean, where's it going to?
Can you read the budget?
Yes, I can.
Do we have a copy of the budgets available to you at any time? Mr. Public Record.
And also too, what are y'all gonna do when we do open up the jail? Y'all already took the feeding spinners out from the inmates. Are y'all gonna get that back, or y'all?
It'll be put back in the new budget when there's inmates to feed. There's no point in leaving that line item in there if there's no inmates to feed, especially because it needed to come out of the senior citizens budget, because that's who was providing the meals for the jails. We take it out of their budget because they're not gonna be receiving it. Essentially, it's all in the lab.
Okay, so we
That
get,
expenditure was gonna be revenue for another department.
so we get inmates, you're gonna give that money back to the sheriff's department and the jail, right?
Well, obviously, we have to do the jail and this, but
But until then, I would love to see the jail open back up. But frankly, we're not gonna have the manpower to run it because of starting out $14 an hour. That's pathetic. And I think some of y'all need to dig down real deep and figure out what's important in this county. Other people protect other departments. That's cool. I mean, Mr. Landon, I ain't saying nothing bad about you. You support the EMTs, I support the sheriff's department. I mean, the way you spoke, you're dedicated to driving, so. But y'all need to get your mind back. Y'all actually want to take care of the men and women that actually serve this county and help them out so we can keep all of this. Because I guess if it wasn't for people like Jeannie Hyde, and a few others that's been here for a long time, the only reason they're here is because they love serving this county. But they still struggle because of the pay. Mr. Johnson, he's over here, left a good job, took a major pay cut to come back to this county because he needed help. And I am also about to take a pay cut because the sheriff's department needs more people. We want to see the jail get up and back up. So I'm also about to take a pay cut. I make $21 an hour right now working for FedEx. That is overtime work for the jail. I'm about to take a $7 pay cut to go work with the jail to help out the sheriff's department and help this council. But y'all need to get y'all's minds right and start helping these boys out. Damn, so that's all I can say.
Thank you for your concern. Any other public comments? So we will turn it over to Ms. Sabrina for the project manager.
All right, good evening. Thanks, Madam Chair, board, good evening, everybody. We'll probably just stay with the report that you have in front of you, since Jay's on the overhead and the probably next month I'll report on them. I'll get some pictures of the other house that we're finishing up. So good news, obviously, item one, the Justice Center. You should have a copy of the plat and proposed plat in front of you, and I'll also email it to you as soon as we got it from the survey, from our surveyor. You can obviously add if you have any questions. That's the intent will be, as you see the lines that show, you'll see the inside line, and it has the marks, and I kind of described it in my email that I sent. That's the existing lines, and all we did was extend the lines. As you look, top of the page is north, right is east. You'll see that little section that's a standoff to the right of that. That is what we're proposing to go along with that property. Now, if you add the property that we currently have, which includes the Balsam West across the street, which wouldn't be unusable or wouldn't be usable, if you add that, plus what we talking about the ball field, which is 2 tracks, and that extended land just up on the banks, it almost comes to a total of 8 acres. But it's probably going to be only around 6 that's going to be usable, including this building. But we could obviously use some of the property off to the side, and obviously the parking lot to help with that area that we're talking about. So it's a good survey. It took a little while to get, and we're glad to have that. And I'll turn it over maybe to Manager Cody if you have anything else you wanted to add. We'd like to be able to, if the board sees fit and agrees, we'd like to start negotiation with the school attorney on this piece of property to finalize that going forward.
It's just a little bit, just to accept the survey as or commission accept the survey as presented, and no discussions with the school to be finalized and closed. This is the last missing puzzle.
I haven't heard anything about it.
But this is what we need. Once you approve that, I'm just waiting on the CAD files, which I should have already gotten from our surveyor. Forward, then they can start working on this side. This is what we were waiting for, is the CAD files and finalize the survey. I think we can still, if it's okay with the board, say that that little section isn't agreed upon. I don't think that's a showstopper. They can start designing as long as you're okay with me going in and telling them to start designing this side. If you're good with that, I can send it to them as soon as could be as soon as this evening or tomorrow if I can get the CAD files. So if you're good with that, I'm happy, more than excited to send it to Mosley to get started on design for this.
And they did leadership back as far as what we would have.
Yes, incorporates the banks, which is basically offers us a buffer in case there's an issue. We don't have to go back to them. We did a little bit of the jail was brought up. Obviously, we've gotten started with that. Hazmat's been done. I was up there today, all the trim work around the windows from the stuff we took back. We replaced all that. We're actually cleaning up a lot of, I don't know if the sheriff's had a chance to go through. We're cleaning up a lot of the old wires, stuff that's not usable. Got with Tim, he's helped with the IT side of it. We're gonna make some new ways to get to like the outside cameras and some other things. I think it's gonna look really good. We're showing about 50%, but I think we're about 55% done with that project. Hanging the doors now and just getting the painters in labor. So we're moving really good now. Obviously, after getting the hazmat and waiting on materials, we're rocking pretty good up there. And I think it's going to get a product that's going to be useful for a while. Hopefully, if we get another facility. So good news as far as that's concerned. Sheriff, you got any questions for that or no? Okay. All right. Yeah. All right, great. Good deal. Sanitation, site survey is complete. Obviously with that, I sent that to our civil engineer just to draw a little bit of, we have a couple of drainage things we want to spot on site. Obviously the infrastructure is fairly old. We're working on getting that with our little civil engineer plan. Once I get that, I can go out for quotes or bids on the concrete work. But we're still waiting on a plan, and I know Manager Cody's been hard working on that, on the demolition of the old building. That's really the stopping point. before we could really move forward with much of anything, is getting that old building out of the way and then getting everything else done. But as far as that goes, we're ahead of the game if we do put up with a plan to demo the old building.
And if it snows as much as they're projecting, that might be taken care of this week with the current structural state. Well, and I'll mention, if I could. do one second.
Sure.
I mentioned the sanitation grant. I'm going to talk more detail about it later. Part of it is going to be within this scope. I know we've kind of de-scoped part of this to kind of make it fit the grant funds available, but Jason's been working on kind of the whole plan of all the engineering, all the features that we'd like the building to have in case we can get some third-party funds to close the funding gap that we can. So it wouldn't necessarily be phase one, it could be everything all at one time. So, and I'll talk about that in more detail.
Thank you. Item 4 was 243 Or Branch. We've obviously completed that job. I left it on my slides that I would have showed tonight, just so in case there was any other question, we were able to show how far we went. Probably the next slide deck would be come back. I'll show 66. Atola. I won't have it on the thing, but can answer any questions if anything would have come up. Which brings us to 66 Atola. We're showing about 87% on getting done the project. We're really close. They're estimating probably the end of next week we'll be close to done. I know they were out installing all the HVAC equipment today. The plumber was there starting to set out of the plumbing fixtures and that sort of thing. So and I'll get up with you about the VF meeting going on things, walking through booklets, turnover for all the maintenance and manuals and all that sort of thing. So catch up with you as soon as we can. Project's going real good. We're almost done.
Once again, if you haven't driven by to look at these projects, I encourage the board to do that in your spare time, of course. But it's really it's just such a joy to see folk who have worked all their lives and worked hard to be able to enjoy the great funding that this county was able to acquire to help our own citizens. I'm really, really proud of that. It's by all means done a great job with that, Joe. So if you get a chance, by all means, look at it and talk to the young lady. Well, I'll say young lady on Or Branch that's moved into the house is so happy. It makes you happy. So get a chance to speak with her, please.
Very good. Yes, thank you. Agree with that 100%. Move down to item 6. That is the RDA East Branch. This is Hill's house working at school. They have been given go ahead. I'm assuming probably they're going to start this spring semester. And then of course it takes probably 2 years for them as a class to get that house built on that piece of property. So the grant funding's in place. They're going to move forward on that project. So excited about that opportunity. Also for low to moderate income being able to purchase a house at some point in that housing development, and hopefully that'll kickstart that project too. We really I'm going to advertise. We have some property for sale in that property on Woods Range. So please, by all means, take a look. We'd love to take that project.
I drove up there just before here. It's beautiful, even with the lakes down and everything. It's not like a subdivision, a housing development that you see on Landis Plaza. It's glorious here, right? And it's rolling hills and it's mountain views, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area. We're going to have a gorgeous little housing development up there. So if you know someone who would like to build a house, first house, middle to low to mid income, the property and the building is 100% financeable through USDA, depending on income. So please let people that you know that might be in a position to need such financing and a house to live in a beautiful area. And Pam Shaver is our contact person at United Community Bank. But any of the staff here Epic County can, direct you in the right path if you have a question. And I'll be happy to anytime. My phone number is 479-2595. I'm in the book. Karen is my first name.
And I know local moderate kind of makes it have a negative connotation to it, but we're talking about that with USDA guidelines. For a family of 1 to 4 for 2026, it's about $120,000 for family income, and for a family of 5 to 8, it's nearly $160,000. So a lot more people qualify than you probably realize. And our lot prices range from 13.5 to 19.5. You're not going to find another lot in Graham County more than likely for that price, especially ones with town water and to be so close to town. Goal is obviously for this to be a really nice area. We see families that are interested in one of your events, so please reach out.
I believe monthly payments are based on those on here.
They are, yeah, please.
So your monthly payment's not what you might go to the bank and get a number on, okay? Your monthly payment is directly related to the annual income of the family. So it's very doable, very affordable, and we're excited about possibilities for the people in our county.
Yep, that's a good point. Great point on the water infrastructure. And it's got paved all the way up through the sites, well-developed area. It's definitely worth it to look at. Appreciate all the additions to that. Item 7 is Bigelow Stadium. We are meeting tomorrow, actually at 9:30 to discuss the project and seeing how either they wanted to go forward with the way it is rebidding, and then maybe add some timeline to help get that project bid again. To make it a little bit easier to take on the risk of getting bleachers built. You're not rushed to try to do it by fall. So we'll meet tomorrow and I'll report to the board after once it gets way forward. And unless there's any questions, that's all on that. Thank you.
And then, this is the governor with a financial. Comes a discussion for the meeting that is today, January the 20th. This is for the period ending December 31st of 2025. You do have a copy of amendment number 9 in your budget packet, or in your packet, I'm sorry. And I believe that Manager Cody did want to make a comment about it as well. So I'll just go over this really quickly and I'll let him step in and say what he wants to say. So the appropriation changes that are included in this amendment would be to increase the jail medical services by $32,371, and that would decrease the jail insurance by $32,371. Then we would decrease cemetery fleet management by $5,000. And that they had an excess bills number there that we were able to discover. And we would increase the cemetery capital outlay by about $5,000, and then decrease cemetery insurance by $2,830. They also had a surplus there due to being down on them this past several months. And that would also increase the cemetery capital outlay. And the point of that was for them to be able to purchase their weeders with their money, especially for the spring coming up, and they are having to replace the mower. So that's what those funds would be utilized for.
So the item I'm going to talk about was the line item transfer with the jail. So we're working on, obviously our main goal is to get off UL, and the easiest way to do that is to follow best practices in budgeting period. So kind of one question we went back to the drawing board on is what do we do when we've got something like this where we've got an unexpected expense, like we had the jail medical bill that was substantially more than was anticipated, especially for one inmate. So in looking at our LGC and our NCACC guidance, talking through it, so the evaluation for audit purposes, what the department has done at the department level. So line items, the auditors don't really care about. It's for us for budgeting, just to make sure that when we're budgeting, we kind of know adds up and where things are going. And that makes the next budgeting cycle much better because we can kind of tie things together and keep things much better organized. So when funds are still available, so if there's an unexpected fees or unexpected expense, even if a line item is drained, and it's just showing no available funds or the available funds are too low, they will fully compensate for that expense. The best practice is to maintain the status quo at the department level. So if there's funds available, don't put money in, don't put money out, and just do a line item adjustment. So basically what you do is just project what's the best line item you would take it from, and transfer from line of funds from there. So the jail, the best line item was the insurance line. That's projected to go under pretty substantially for this year. There are funds available in the jail currently. Now there's a step 2 to it. If this or other line, so if this line item, let's say, runs out in the future, we do the same analysis. Let's look at the department as a whole. What do we do with the funds? Do we do another line item transfer? If the department then later on, and we're talking May and June, starts to trend like it's going to come in over budget, then we start looking at what to do. And the reason for that is we have tools at that point that are beyond, let's pull from contingency or pull from the general fund. We can then see what, and and this is a regular thing in June with other departments, is what departments are going to come under and where can we pull money from to kind of make things work in our current budget. So if for some reason the jail were to go, or to start to trend that direction, we can have that conversation in May or June of what steps do we take to that. And the overall goal that we're going to try to do in all departments is don't touch contingency or general funds based purely on projection. It's only if we get to that point in the year where it's absolutely necessary. So that's why it's shown as a line item transfer at this current stage. So any questions about the budget amendment?
We would only make that kind of transfer if there are no other ways, no other funds.
And the hope is there are some departments that we've been looking at that they're going to come under budget. So in May and June, we might be able to take from the department. And I don't know, things could happen in that department between now and then too. You have those unexpected expenses. So it's hard to estimate where you might be able to pull from now, but in May and June or whenever that discussion would have to be had, we have a much more real look at what the actual reality of the budget is.
I'll make a motion to approve amendment number 9.
Right, and then moving on, I just want to provide you with an LGC update. So that's the Local Government Commission and the Lesbian on the Unit Assistance List. We have been assigned a team coach from LGC that I touch base with on a monthly basis. We just had our 6-month check-in due to the financial influence over the 31st of December. And so we just had our check-in with them, where we have to provide budget to actual reports. So they're looking at these things again, and they do look at it primarily on a departmental level, but they're also looking to see if we're following the pre-audit process by looking at the line levels as well. So we submitted our 6-month budget to actual report, and our coach stated that everything looks good and to continue with the good work. So he was appreciative of the way that we've been managing the budget this year. That obviously helps us for our teachers to approve of what we're doing. So we're glad that we got a good report there. And then just an audit update as well. I talked with T.W. He said that they are in the prepping and planning stage and that they will be on site next month. I did hear from one of the guys in his office today, and they are planning to be here the week of February 9th. So they plan to be here again, just to get samples and to go over some questions that they might have, and that will, and then they will follow up with the second trip, either the last week of February or the first week of March, to wrap up any questions and to do compliance testing with DSS. So that is the update on the audit. In your packet as well, you will have a copy of the budget to actual report. This is for the same period that was submitted to LGC for their approval. And you will see that our revenues to date It's $13,883,317.09. Our expenditures today is $10,638.68. So at this time, our revenues exceed expenditures by $112,678.41. This is our healthy time of the year where all the property taxes are coming in, so this number looks really nice right now, but we will expect to see that trending back down, as we won't be collecting as much property taxes. On that note, our collections for tax year 2025, you have a copy of that report in your packet. The collections for the current year and through December is $880,765.48. They also collected some from prior years that were due in the amount of $9,267.70. So our total collections for 2025 property taxes is $7,607,104.70. The balance left to be collected is $1,791,407.38. And that was our current collection percentage, as of the end of December to 80.94%. Moving on to this. For budget amendment, yes, sir, it was. That's all right. Thank you for following up on this. So moving on to the sales tax collections. So you have a copy of the November report attached. The November collections, they are paid 2 months behind, so they were paid in January. And the amount of $326,189.37. And that brings our year-to-date collections up to $1,686,389.96. The school's allocation of the sales tax for their set-aside portion for the month of November was $56,824.84. And that brings their year-to-date total to $348,389.61. So they have an available balance, which includes prior year balances, in the amount of $595,032.29. And you will see in your packets a copy of the request to use sales tax funds. And this is for LBM Industries. They had 5 different tickets. These were loads of dirt. So they would be able to build up the baseball field at the high school. And that request equals $2,882.95. And I would need your approval to make that payment to the school.
I'll make a motion to approve that payment.
And the $0.25 set aside from our sales tax collections. This is for public safety. In November, we collected $29,991.78, and that brings our total to date to $1,884,677.89. Our vehicle tax collections, you have a copy of the December report in your packet as well. And this December collections will pay in January in the amount of $64,600.30. And it brings our year-to-date collections to $374,917.62. The last 3 items that I have for you, I know that last meeting we had passed out to you the budget amendment versus the budget adjustment. And the internal policy that we had asked for you to look over. Just wanted to know if you might have any questions regarding that, or if you were ready to vote on that at this time. And I can briefly go over what the difference is. So a budget amendment is governed by statute, and that's in General Statute 15915. Must be approved by the Board of Commissioners, and that's when we're moving appropriations between departments, functions, or projects. If there's a change in estimated revenues, if there's a change in appropriated fund balance, or if we're moving, an appropriation and or revenues between funds. A budget adjustment is governed by an internal policy, and a budget adjustment can be approved by the budget officer, which is our county manager, Commissioner. And this is a movement of monies between line items or object codes within a department function or a project. So it's just changes to line items, and the internal policy that we propose is that the budget officer may transfer appropriations between departments within a fund without prior board approval. All transfers shall be documented and presented to the board at the next regular meeting. The budget officer is authorized to transfer appropriations between departments within the general fund, provided that no single transfer exceeds $20,000 and that all such transfers are reported to the board at its next regular meeting. And the budget officer or finance officer may make transfers between line items within a department as long as the total department appropriation is not altered. So no transfers to or from salary or benefit line items may be made without prior approval.
That's a lot of good changes, sounds familiar. I thought it was a good time to review that and to get some new guidelines in place. And I would make a motion that we approve it.
In your packet, I know that you had previously approved our cash management policy back in November. And we did make a slight adjustment to it, and this is based on recommendations in the School of Government with the University of North Carolina. For finance officers, they made several suggestions about updating our policies. And so we were able to provide copies of our policies, and they're able to provide us with feedback. So the professors, one of the main things that they noticed is references to petty cash. And they really are advising you to stray away from petty cash and move more into like a cash drawer type situation where there's more accountability. There is a check, every morning you start out with balance in your drawer, you have your transactions throughout the day. At the end of the day, you balance out your drawer. And so if you will go to page 3 of that policy, I highlighted in yellow basically what their recommendation is. As far as what a cash drawer policy should look like versus a petty cash. And then we've also created a form, and if upon your approval, obviously, I would like to schedule some training with all of the department heads that do handle money in their departments. I'd like to just have a departmental meeting with those people and go through the training and allow them some time to ask questions and for us to do examples of the cash flow balancing sheet that they would have to complete and turn in each day along with their deposits.
Now, on your by month or by yearly report, 91, you still have to list.
It's the logos 203 is the one we just
You
did
still
today.
have to list it.
We do.
Cash, even though student in the drawer is still classified as petty cash.
It is, and you still have to report that, so it's like your starting balance, whatever is your starting balance in each drawer is what they consider your petty cash, and you still have to report that.
So that protects us from some of the things that we were written up in the audit, no internal controls.
Right.
No dual controls, and that takes care of that issue right here.
And this will help with all of our departments to handle any type of payments, from sanitation to recreation to the tax collector. Anybody that is taking up building permits, everybody that's picking up any type of money whatsoever, they will have to follow the same policy. So it'll be audit proof when the auditors come in. Everyone will be following the same procedures.
It's just buildings accountability.
Yes.
It's just, that's just, they're just changing the format for its accountability instead of just saying, hey, with that. That's been in the works for about 2 or 3 years.
How is that system gonna be set up? Is it gonna be on the supervisor of the department's computer?
Yeah, so like when the drawer is open each day, it's only assigned to one person. You don't sign your drawer out to another person. Only one person is allowed to run that drawer. And at the end of the day, they have what's called a cash drawer balancing sheet. You have a copy of it in your packet. They will complete that and their supervisor will sign off on it before it goes down to the depositor. So,
It's like balancing a television.
yes, it's exactly what it is. Yes. Just a little bit more accountability and just to make sure that we know what is happening in each department. I think it'll help us prevent any of those issues going forward.
States have just a recommendation. Uh, the amount in the drawer does not exceed a certain amount.
Yes,
After that, it needs to be taken out. And that is the responsibility of that individual drawer.
yes,
That just makes it accountability and less hectic.
right.
That's up to you, whatever days you want to set it out. I would recommend that would be set at a certain amount.
Right, and we wanted to discuss it with the department heads to kind of say, like, what do you notice as, obviously it cannot be over $500. I think that that's too high of a limit, but I wanted to see whether it should be like 100 or 250 for certain departments.
Yeah.
And they would always, at the end of the day, when they cash out their drawer, their starting balance and their ending balance will be the same. The rest of the funds will be accompanied by a receipt and this ticket and will be turned in for deposits.
I'll make a motion.
And then just one other thing that the School of Government has brought to our attention, obviously we know that the pennies are becoming an issue with the circulation of them no longer being in production. So they have just recommended a rounding policy for cash payments. Of course, if you use a debit card, there's no problem. If you're writing a check, there's no problem. But they have recommended that we go to symmetric rounding when the pennies aren't available. So you would round down if your totals ended in 1 or 2, 6 or 7. You would round up when your totals ended 3, 4, 8 or 9. So like $1.97 would become $1.95. $1.98 would become $2. And again, the full bill would be reported regardless of the payment that was made due to that rounding issue. And it would be reported, any of the small differences within the pennies would be reported as an over or an under.
So we'll,
Ma'am.
so we will have a record.
We do. We will have a record of it. So, alternatives to rounding are bring the exact change, to care of electronic payments or the check. But obviously, this is issued nationwide, and so this is just something that they suggested.
I'm gonna have to write that down because I'm wondering why anything below a 5 wasn't a 5.
And this
Like we should.
this does not impact property tax
No.
collection, but that is statutorily prohibited.
Statutorily.
So we will always have to collect the exact amount. And that's just something we'll deal with if the issue, if it arises.
But this is just to build some consistency so that no one can have any. It wouldn't be different from one customer to the next. It would just build some consistency. So if you would like to take time to look over it, and if the next time that's fine, or if you feel comfortable with it today, this is directly from their advice, the School of Government.
Should I go ahead and approve it?
That's all that I have for you, unless you have questions for me.
Just looking at the comment, they were talking about, EMS bill being sent. They returned the check and asked for the check to be voted brand next time.
Are you serious? I did reach out to them. I talked to our account representative. Apparently through the debt set off, they are not allowed to put their information on those letters. So that's something that I think Manager Brady is going to bring up in our meeting a little bit later. Our contract is with Cullerton, who is, we're really not under contract at this time. So it could be a great time for us to bid it out, if that would be your direction. We could bid it out and just kind of see where,
I've reached out to the CACC too, to see if they can give us suggestions on who other counties might be utilizing, just so that, to kind of save us some time to know who's successful in this type of thing. So, that there's an idea there, and we know that we need to revamp that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First item we have discoveries in the amount of $778.60. And releases in the amount of $1,008.95. We just need a motion to approve. Next item, we have in front of you a resolution requesting support for rebuild of the cable building. That is actually a request from Mr. Cody. Would you like to say anything about this resolution?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt this resolution, supported, because, there's no way to get them started, even with the blanket inside, and we're going to get access. And if you have time to drive over there, you can see, and, this is done with public access that Mary Penn has, found on it.
I'll second the motion.
And I was like, I think June, if we get some phone for that.
Third item, just talk a little bit about the sales tax, the ability to, remove for additional sales tax. As we mentioned previously, Madam Chair, we've been exploring in meetings whether, there is a mechanism for our tourists to better share in contributing to the tax base of the county, to help pay for things like public safety and other important things. Confirm with NCACC that we are currently maxed out for the statutory available sales tax categories. There's one additional category, but it is for metro areas with a public transit system, like a light rail or something like that. Charlotte, it's Raleigh, it's those counties. So we are tied for the most of any non-metro county as far as the sales tax is concerned. I know we talked about the potential for the best path forward, if that's still of interest, is probably through the legislative means. In just talking to our state representatives about whether there's a path forward to providing another. Each article stands on its own as far as who qualifies for what. So we just need additional legislation to look available if that's of interest.
I just think that we're looking to, budget, environment.
Next item, big announcement, just wanted to get aware of the business roundtable event that Josh Carpenter and Mountain West Partnership is putting on next week. It's January 27th. It's at 8:30 again. And his description is this collaborative meeting will include a panel discussion of local business leaders, networking with fellow entrepreneurs, and opportunities to connect regional business and workforce and resource providers. They've had successful events in surrounding counties, and really this is just to get our business community in the same room. We want them to talk to each other, but also find out what resources are there to support them. So if you own a business, if you're interested in starting a business, come out. It's going to be a great panel discussion, and Josh Carpenter is really going to talk to about the economic development side and what opportunities are out there for you. I think so. I think that they're always open to having another event. Yeah, I think the first one they were trying to have during work hours and business leadership time. I do think that is important to have. And it may be if they can do 2 events a year, have the second one be at a more of an evening time. It will be held in the spring. Yes. But that's going to be that phase. I'll make a note, make sure, Josh. Next item, we have about a vacancy on the library board. So the recommendation, I think regional director was Teresa Phillips.
Second.
Next with the new request form for special appropriations, that was distributed for our meeting. It's the, I don't want to call it a grant form, but it's a pretty simple form for anyone who is requesting appropriations from Grand County to fill out basic information about their organization and what they're proposing to do with the funds. Also gives something to evaluate for the next year of, did you use the funds for what was intended? We'll just need a motion to approve that, and then the next step, we will circulate that to everyone who has applied in the past, but also wants to publish it for anyone who wants to apply for this year.
I have a motion to approve that. Once again, that's a good way for anyone who controls it to follow with.
Next item, request a surplus of 2008 Ford truck. VIN number 7505. That's the truck that Lane had been driving. So we just need a motion to surplus and would set a minimum amount. It's not, yeah, it's not, I think it's not in great shape. That was the reason.
Whatever our scrap bid would be, I can find out if we set it at the same amount that they would bring in scrap. Yes.
It's
The moral service.
yeah, and just to add some additional, we were able to repurpose Lane in another vehicle, so that was no additional expense. Something that that was brought over from another apartment, because it needed another vehicle.
That's it. I'll second the motion. Natasha?
Next is the approval of the EMS billing and payments total from back in December. That was to set the EMS billing rate for 2026. We just need a motion to approve. Next item is recommendation for health insurance renewal. Kim has been working on this, so I'll turn it over to her for extension.
Okay, so January 27th, we have to make the decision what you want to put in for the recommendation on health insurance. There was a 9% increase, but if we raise our deductible, we can get it at a 4% increase. My recommendation is to raise the deductible for a 4% increase. We're still 138% negative, so an increase was not uncommon. In the outside the pool, it's probably been around 35 to 45% increase. But at this time, it is at 4.1, and we can actually live with that, and that is my recommendation. It will increase by 147,000. 2,500 for 1,500 and 2,500.
That's not bad. That would sound
Doctor visit stays the same, specialist stays the same, medical medicines stay the same, everything stays the same, except for the payout of the.
Even at the higher rate, companies that deal with that, I'm pretty sure you saw a $40,000 bill on that also.
Yes. Oh, and we also, the Teladoc, they're really impressing us to do that as well. I think it's growing in this region now. It had been in Charlotte, the other regions pretty heavily. And so they are encouraging, got off the webinar today, they are encouraging that as well to do Teladoc. So I don't know if you have to get with the providers here and if they supply that, which would be great as well.
What would be our next step in looking into that?
Once we decide on that, we'll get the paperwork filled out, and then they can guide us on how the individual can reach out to their doctor or to whoever we supply the Teladoc.
And Teladoc is already part of our plan right
Yes,
now.
it is.
And you just go on and look at what type of specialty you're looking for, and then it has a list of physicians. So they're not always our local physicians, so that's probably the part where we would need to get our local involved.
Yeah.
And the premium for each employee increases
about $1,400. That would be like the cost of the county will incur. Right now, I think our total package per employee is $12,200. With the new rates coming into play, it's gonna put our total package around $13,600. So it's about a $1,400 increase per employee. That is effective, yes. So for budgeting purposes, we know we'll have to account for that.
If we enroll,
There's 160, I believe, we maintain around 160 on the, goes and fluctuates for one of those bullets and seats.
This won't go in effect with your bylaw.
Correct.
Next item is an EcoPing update. So if you've driven by lately, you probably noticed steady progress. If you walk in that facility, it's night and day from what it was. I've talked to John, he said, you know, if you come by, he's happy to give, you know, a tour. They're, you know, they're proud of the work they've done. They've put, I talked to Josh Carpenter today, he estimated $3 to $5 million in the building already. They have $20+ million of equipment that is already sitting in the facility. What they're doing now is only kind of the final stages of getting things ready for production. I stopped just kind of a general hiring update. The timeline for hiring is still March. If anybody is interested in potentially working for EcoPing, please reach out to NC Works in Murphy. Number is 837-7407. What they're doing is they're doing a wait list now, just an information interest list. But over the next couple of weeks, that should start to pick up. The first thing they're going to just kind of get their nucleus, their core kind of supervisors, things like that, and then they're going to start hiring in earnest, I think, here for a couple of months.
any feedback on the number of applications that the receives?
They've got a pretty substantial wait list. I've noticed that they have multiple people every day stop by, and the history is really because it's people, a lot of people who have worked there before, who have worked when it was Stanley or when it was something before, and said, you know, and so this was my apartment, I want to come back. So they have multiple people every day that just stop by to say, put my name on the list. So just to aid organization, you know, you say call and see works, but there was an on-site process too.
And we're thinking first hire of 70 employees.
Yeah, so it's going to be done in phases. So
Right.
I think that's 70 to 100 is kind of overall goal with initial hire. I'm sure what will happen is they'll get that. I think they can. Their distribution is based on the number of machines, so you get kind of the step done, get it running, then you go to the next and the next. So these are kind of pods.
It's probably been a month and a half, 2 months since I spoke to David Garrett in workforce. And we had 100 applications then.
Great.
So if they're coming in every day, that sounds good. That's very positive.
So everything is trending in the right. It's definitely trending in the right direction. Any questions about that? The last item is permission to apply for the sanitation grant. That grant is actually the North Carolina Healthy Recovery Recycling Infrastructure Grant. So we do qualify, even though you weren't one of the hardest hit counties. You can apply up to $5 million. It's recycling focused. So I've talked to Gavin, we sat down to kind of imagine what we could potentially do with it. Come up with a plan, with your request to be, the rest of what Jason would like to do with the recycling from the engineering standpoint of a concrete floor, things like that, to make that new building out of sanitation its full potential, to meet its full potential. And then the second thing is going to be purchasing compactors for each site. So that is the easiest and best, most cost-effective way to recycle. So what we can do is put a compactor in each site, recyclables go in. It never actually goes on one of the large trucks. We're going to also apply for a rollback truck that could haul the compactor. They take it up at the site, they haul directly to the facility. And that way, we could have kind of a large truck driving. It's a more efficient means of transportation too. Because with recycling, it can be a potential revenue to, the county. Or worse, we're doing this, we're cutting down on expenses. So when we talk about revenue, we're maximizing the revenue at the same time decreasing expenses, so it's a higher net earn. And this would all be third-party funds, no county match at all with this grant. So we're trying to take advantage of it to the best we can. So that's due at the end of the month. We're gonna try to have it done by, you just see this little, not to wait till that's new. So I would just need a motion to approve, approve submission of that application.
Second.
Unless there's any questions, that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Questions?
And we've spoken anymore about rotating some of the on-site full day employees.
That's and that's part of what, part of our budget discussion is trying to reimagine it, as with every department, try to understand, to make salaries and what we're doing, not just a number, have a list of all of our employees, talk about staffing, to talk about scheduling, but that's part of what we're talking about with sanitation, is how we can most cost effectively get our best bang for our buck when it comes to availability of sanitation. So we have, yeah, it is.
And we've got a pretty good idea of the activity at the sites that are there.
We do.
now, Which was shopping or two.
Can I ask a question? I know I ain't on this. I got a couple of questions for the sheriff's department. Mr. Lancaster, if I don't come back in. I don't come to these meetings, I don't want to run the devices. Really bad for taxpayers. Particularly coming down here and getting involved in what's going on. Mr. Lancaster got up here talking about our deputies need raises. Hey, I'm all for giving our people raises, if we can. We pay our people on what we can afford. Now, this vote, I don't know the whole deal with the vote. I'll say it's 100% grant funded, it's most of it. I can tell you, you know, gone. If any money is been spent out of the taxpayers, fund.
And you're asking a question.
Absolutely.
The grants or the congressman came to the office, offering to do this work, okay? He said that he would get this funding, he had to figure out. But before the money was received, it had to be brought before the commission here, the board, and they had to sign off on it and agree to it. It's in the minutes. And they had to receive documents before it moved forward. The money, $8,000 was given to the sheriff's office. $25,000 was given to the sheriff's office from Brooks. That money was used to buy the vote. Myself and Cody always picked the vote out. Okay. Cody wants to say he didn't have nothing to do with it.
I'm not getting
But
that.
I understand. But myself and Cody picked the vote out. It was purchased, and the money was sent to the county for the vote. Mr. Ray, is anything incorrect that I have said?
So that was the initial interaction with the congressman was before my time, but I can confirm the money was received as reimbursement from USDA, as you have represented.
Well, 100%.
100% in the law. We got.
So I do have a question to kind of branch off that. And this initial conversation with Mr. Edwards, I think that was before my time as well. I know you came to him like right when I started. And that was when she had informed us about it was on the way. But, the Brookfield grant, and this is, I'm not,
It was no grant, it was actually a check.
okay, so the Brookfield check, was it designated to the folks specifically, or
Yes,
did it have to be
100%.
for anything else?
100%.
Did Brookfield come down and say, if you put about that for a vote?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so my question is, is, and I don't know, did we buy a $40,000 fire truck?
30.
Okay, oh, 31.
It's 30.
Okay. Where did that one, was that out of your budget? Was it a grant?
That
Was it?
came from drug tax money and money that the sheriff's office received. That has nothing to do with the county.
Okay. Was that money designated for exercise?
It's used for anything that's drug enforcement. And I'll give you an example. Last year, we was donated side by side. And we've done 2 drug search warrants in the snow, and we could have done it without that.
Right.
We used the side by side last year, it was to pick up stranded people that couldn't get home, take them home. So there's a lot of uses. I'll give you an example. We've had a missing person on the snow right there. Sheriff's office was involved. We set up one of our vehicles, 2 of our vehicles. We got side by side, those vehicles would be damaged. Okay. So side by side, if you look around, all the sheriff's offices, those in the garage, who's the only one that didn't have?
Probably four sheriff's offices, if you don't care about that.
What's that?
We're probably the poorest.
But this money didn't come to the taxpayers. It helped with money, drugs.
Could you have took that money, give our entries back?
No.
If you have took that money and bought something, I guess what I'm saying is, could you have used that $37,000 and spent it on something that is in your budget? That for drug task force, that you said took that money out of your budget for what you were raising.
No. But you raise the tax to be sustained year after year. That to be sustained year after year.
So I do have a question. I know at the last meeting, you brought up, the need for a fingerprint machine. So could you have spent the money that was spent on the side by side on the fingerprint machine?
That's not drug enforcement.
In a roundabout way, could it be tied to that?
It's not drug enforcement.
I asked if the money that was spent on the side by side, if it could have just spent on the fingerprint machine.
To me, there's ways that you can use that, that is going to side by side. And so then, I don't know what's in the budget, I haven't looked at, that's what I'm saying. I don't have these things, I don't know what's in it. But what I'm saying is that, it seems to me that there's ways that you can go about this and buy stuff out of that money, because for drug enforcement, that you had in your budget to buy from our county funds, you use that money to get your guy's raise.
Look, when we used the side by side that was donated, we did to an extent the side by side before we could do that. In a vehicle. So, is that a necessity?
Well, let me ask
Would
you
you
this.
want your family member laying there waiting on us to walk back?
That's bar service, like, I'm doing an investigation of that.
No, sir, I let the fellow investigate.
That one on Fred Highway with it. Was that the
Highway patrol, highway patrol, and I was, it was very precise. We handle deaths, either on private property or on the highway.
I've lived in this county for 65 years. I've never been side by side in this county. 65 years I've lived here on this, in this county. I'm not saying this is the first time I've ever seen it. We ain't never had to have side by side. Have we been to people's death before?
But my thing is our fire department, okay, fire department, rescue squad, done grant, by random sites. Do we not have a good enough working relationship between our sheriff department and our search and rescue, we need to borrow your sites? Or we need to borrow your boat.
What if they're waiting to use their side by side to get to a scene that has to be cleared before they can respond? And the only way they can get to that is their side by side. So if we take their side by side and use it to go to a C that needs to be secured, how's they gonna do that?
Once the check is signed,
I'll do the 6 size, so I can try something 12 there, and try to listen.
All right, so I have another question. You mentioned the donated side by side. So is
Yes.
that still at the sheriff's department?
No, it is not. The person that was, there's a company out of Georgia, came and donated lots of stuff, AEDs, probably $100,000 worth of equipment. And he brought it side by side and said, use it. And we used it during the death investigation, it was seen, and we were done a search once. Drug search once where there was a death involved in that.
So I believe I heard something say something. Shannon, you should go ahead.
I think you need to go back to the agenda on the things that are prepared, discussed, and not this.
Okay, so after the last delivery, we'll have to have you guys maybe, ask Andrew if everything added to the agenda. If we want to discuss this further.
I'm good with that.
I was with my, I've gone up. That's